mankind are sheltered beneath thy tabernacle. All have gathered together at thy table of bounty. All are illumined through the light of thy providence. O God, thou art kind to all. Thou hast provided for all, dost shelter all, conferrest life upon all. Thou hast endowed each and all with talents and faculties, and all are submerged in the ocean of thy mercy. O thou kind Lord, unite all. Let the religions agree and make the nations one, so that they may see each other as one family and make the whole earth as one home. May they all live together in perfect harmony. O God, raise aloft the banner of thy oneness of mankind. O God, establish the most great peace. Cement thou, O God, the hearts together. O thou kind Father God, gladden our hearts through the fragrance of thy love. Brighten our eyes through the light of thy guidance. Delight our ears with the melody of thy word, and shelter us all in the stronghold of thy providence. Thou art the mighty and powerful. Thou art the forgiving, and thou art the one who overlooketh the shortcomings of all mankind. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Council Member. Council, before we vote on the consent agenda, we do have a few speaker cards, one on item number 5 and 3 on item number 13. So I am inclined to let's listen to our speaker cards and then to bring this to a vote. So item number 5, Rizman Bashid. Hello, sir. If you'd please come up to the dais, state your name and address for the record, and you have up to 3 minutes to share your thoughts on item number 5.
Hi, my name is Rizwan Rashid. I live at 4190 South Jesse Street, which is on the corner of Cooper and McQueen. And I'm here in regards to the new development. I've been living there since about 2010 and have enjoyed the quietness of this neighborhood. And I do welcome a residential neighborhood. I'm not opposed to it. In the past, I've expressed that I don't like the number of homes being placed there, but it seems like it's going to go through. So with that said, I'm going to have 7 or so neighbors attached to my backyard, and my other neighbor will have about 5. So there was a proposal to have a buffer zone between my property and this new development. Seems like that was removed. So I would like to see that buffer zone be present. There was a comment made by a council member last time that not having that buffer zone will discourage migrants or something from occupying that space. But being that this is going to be a gated community, I don't think that's going to be an issue, especially since we don't have those issues in our existing neighborhoods. So for privacy, for myself and for all those neighbors, I'd like to see that buffer zone be put back into the plan, if at all possible. And that's all my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not aware of what this is, but why don't we take the other call? We've got one more card that also just came in on number 5, and then I might ask the developer to come up and address these comments. If that's, I'm really close to moving this to action. City clerk or city attorney, give me direction on that. But
Mayor, in light of the fact that you want to have further conversation, I would recommend that you move this item to action and vote the consent separately.
Great. Council, let's do that. Let's move this one to action. If there's any engagement back and forth, that will allow us to do that. And okay, item, so I've got another action card on that we'll call up afterwards. I do have 3 cards related to item number 13. First one up, Bridget Vega. Ms. Vega, you have up to 3 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for your presence and willingness to listen, and thank you for your eloquent, proactive leadership. It's been almost 7 months since Preston Lord was brutally assaulted and murdered. Thank you for taking a step in the right direction with the 2 ordinances to create a safer community and hold people accountable. Thank you to the Lord family and to Connor Jarnigan for your strength and grace throughout the process of getting these ordinances passed, along with working on the language. We do ask as a community that you look at adding to the language before voting tonight to add in banning brass knuckles of all material. If this can't be added tonight, we ask that the ordinance be passed and then later changed. To the Jarnigans and to the Lord family, please know that we will continue to stand by you as a community as you stand in the face of adversity and be a beacon of hope. As a community, we are grateful for all of you amidst the chaos. You all continue to be a voice to create a safer tomorrow. As a community, we ask that you, as a council, lead again for a regional task force on teen violence. Throughout the summer, especially, we ask for accountability and transparency. Will Chandler be implementing a safety plan for the summer, especially as the goons have been released? And is there many, as there are many more causing further vandalism and harm to the communities that have yet to be arrested and held accountable? And now that Gilbert Goons is classified as a gang, will the gang unit take over as there are many open investigations? Let's continue to keep the Lord family and the Jarnigan family in your prayers, and let's keep Preston and the youth at the center. If we can take a moment of silence for Preston Lord and all the teens who've been assaulted mentally, physically, sexually, and all the youth who were wrongfully murdered due to senseless acts of violence. We demand justice for the youth. Let's continue to rise up, Chandler. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know, City Attorney, we talked about this materials, and brass knuckles is a phrase that covers metals and other materials, right?
Mayor, our ordinance specifically covers brass knuckles and other knuckles of metal,
Metals.
any metal.
And if, and again, if we find the need to add this, the best direction would be to proceed ahead, because to dismantle this would be starting over in a second read. So I mean, if there's interest in council, we can pick this up at if there's amendments to be made, correct?
Mayor, that is correct. If we were to try and amend the ordinance tonight, the whole process has to start over again.
Okay.
So I would recommend going forward with this, and if we discover a need, we can always come back and amend it.
Great, okay. Councilmember Orlando?
Thank you, Mayor. You answered the question, but we have been getting some phone calls over the last day or two about why a second reading. This is something in our charter. It's unique to Chandler. I don't know how many other cities that do a second reading for an ordinance. So that's why we pass it the first time. Then you have to have a time frame, a period of time in between, and then you could pass the second time. So that's why we're doing it twice. So.
And to our community on that, this is a possible, we're looking at some possible charter amendments that could speed up the process of not just this, but of business. But at this point, this is what we do, and we can't arbitrarily change that, as mentioned by Councilmember Orlando, because it is part of our charter. Our next speaker card is Connor Jernigan.
Dear Mayor and Council, thank you for your support throughout this process. In December of 2022, I was approached by a group of teens who demanded $20. After I said no, one tried to enter my car, and when I went to grab the keys, he punched me with brass knuckles in the back of my head. After feeling blood rushing down my head and not knowing if I was going to be okay, we called the police. I had to get 2 staples in the back of my head and deal with my injury for weeks, even months later. I do not believe brass knuckles, metal, or of any material have any place in our communities. They are not for self-defense, nor any other activities. By banning brass knuckles, we will send the people committing these violent acts that a message that we will not be tolerating them. Thank you, Mayor Hartke and the council for your support.
Thank you, Connor. Our last speaker card on item 13, Stephanie Jarnigan.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I decided that I am going to do something completely out of character and speak from the heart. I wanted to thank you all for being so supportive. From the mayor meeting with our family just a few days before Christmas to talk about what happened to Connor and this issue and his ideas. Like, who can just reach out to a mayor and he said, meet me for breakfast? That's amazing, and it's a community that I'm proud to live in. I also wanted to just share what an amazing educational experience this effort has been for both Connor and myself. We aren't political people, and we don't advocate for the changing of laws ever. So we've learned a great deal, and thank you for your help along the way and your support. And we hope that other families might look to what Connor has been able to do and see that they can make a difference too and get involved in the city at whatever level they're comfortable with, whether it be serving on a board like I've done in the past, or even writing a letter to mayor and council and expressing their views on whatever issues that make a difference to them. The other thing that I wanted to address was earlier today we were asked, hey, don't you guys support a full ban on brass knuckles for everyone, not just minors? Isn't this a disappointment? And I had to think about that. We do support a full ban, but we also know that not everyone shares our views 100% as much as I'd like to have that happen. And this is a starting point. In no way do minors need to have easy access to a deadly weapon like brass knuckles. The fact of the matter in Connor's case was a 16-year-old was able to go to a smoke shop, plop down $20 and buy this deadly weapon. And the fact that you today, by passing this, hopefully, will make it harder and it'll be a deterrent now in both Gilbert and Chandler is something that's really important to our family, and it does make a difference. And just like Connor said, even if this initiative prevents one single brass knuckles attack, it will all have been worth it. So thank you tonight for your consideration.
Thank you, Stephanie. Council, that's all the speaker cards, sans item number 5 that's been moved to action. I know that we all had opportunity just to share in previous times, and just speaking on behalf of council, we are grateful for your participation. This is how government is meant to work, and we will continue to support the safety of our teenagers, of our children, and thank you for helping us be aware and more aware with this, and we look forward to that at future opportunities as well. So council, with that,
Mayor?
we would, what's that?
Let's do it.
All right. Council, let's vote.
I move, no,
Oh,
wait,
there's
I have to
I
move.
need a motion. Thank you.
I
Move a
move,
motion and a
it's okay,
second.
Mayor. Sorry about
I
that.
thought you were going to motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda of May 23rd, 2024, regular items 1 through 19, with the exception of item 5. That's moved to action.
All right, we have a
Ellis,
motion on the floor.
second.
Second by Councilmember Ellis. Council, please vote.
Councilmember Stewart,
Absolutely. Yes.
Councilmember Poston,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you. That's our consent agenda. City Attorney, would you recommend just going on to item 5 and then the rest? Okay. So back to item number 5. Let me call up our second speaker, and then I'd like to give Mr. Pugh the opportunity to maybe share some thoughts on these as well. So Jennifer Elvey. Good evening. Please state your name and address. You have up to 3 minutes to share with us.
Okay, right here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Alvey. I live at 1154 East Grand Canyon Drive in Chandler in Geneva Estates. And our backyard abuts the proposed project that we're discussing this evening. We've lived here in Chandler for 22 years now. We think the city has done a tremendous job in creating a livable, family-friendly community. And sometimes I actually call the city's main switchboard and leave a little feedback on how much we appreciate the parks or whatever it is. So we really appreciate all the time and service to make it a wonderful place. I do want to recognize that the builder of this proposal has also, in my opinion, done a good job of listening to we residents' concerns and then making some adaptations, and that's very appreciated. I second my neighbor Riz, who spoke earlier. Ideally, I would love to see a buffer zone incorporated due to the fact that there will be 4 single-family homes now abutting my backyard. However, my actual bigger concern is about the traffic and other safety issues related to this proposal due to the unique features of the intersection there at McQueen Road intersecting with Alamosa Road. The city's already aware that because Cooper Road doesn't run fully north-south and gets cut off there at the airport, that already in South Chandler, McQueen Road and Gilbert Road take on a disproportionate share of traffic for those traveling northward. We've increased our traffic there through the Amazon facility, the CUSD bus barn, and an incoming housing project going in at McQueen and Hunt Highway already. So McQueen is already obviously at extremely high capacity, especially during those critical times of the day when the most people are on the road. An even bigger issue for we residents is the bottleneck there at Alamosa Road. Unlike Blue Ridge and Brooks Farms Road, Alamosa is not a feeder road running from east to west. It is a tiny stretch entering into only Geneva Estates and Alamosa Estates that ends at a T, which would force all traffic to then traverse either onto residential streets in Geneva or residential streets in Alamosa. Considering the increased number of cars expected from the project and the fact that it's being marketed as a family-friendly subdivision, the likelihood of traffic increasing there at Alamosa at certain times of day, specifically involving children and teen drivers, concerns we residents. It seems like the city is likely decided toward this proposal, and I'm not personally entirely opposed to the project myself. However, in light of the potential negative impacts for safety for the existing communities already in the area, I would respectfully request tonight that the city council include one of 2 things from the builder to be able to approve this project. Either a commitment from the city of Chandler, from our city council members here tonight, that the city will provide such police and traffic support as may be necessary in the future to ensure safe traffic flow at the intersection of McQueen and Alamosa roads and prevent our neighborhood street from becoming a feeder street, which it was never designated nor designed to carry. Or that the city require the builder to include the cost of a gate at the intersection of Alamosa and Springs, thereby creating a gated entry in order to preserve traffic and community safety from the impacts of the proposed project. Again, thank you all for the service that you offer to our community. We appreciate your time and the opportunity to interact with you.
Thank you. Um, Council, rather than get a full presentation, unless anybody would like that, I'd be just inclined to invite the developer to come up and address these questions. So Mr. Pugh.
Mayor,
What?
could the developer address any of the actions that the neighbors had requested, like either a gate or?
Yeah, I think that's what he's. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably all we need. You want that? Yeah.
Mr. Pugh, state your name and address for the record, and you could please address the concerns or possible what's happened and what could happen.
There's that. And then this is.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, council members, we had a little technology to straighten out. My name is Ralph Pugh, and my office address is 1744 South Val Vista in Mesa. It's a pleasure to be here this evening on behalf of K. Hovnanian Homes. This project has been worked on and talked about for some time now. There's been significant outreach to the neighborhood. And let me just address the two questions that I heard and that were raised here this evening. The first one has to do with the buffer area. So early on in the process of designing this project, there was the concept, possible concept of including a trail along the eastern boundary here and the southern boundary of these lots here. The thought at the time was that we would create a 20-foot trail there and that people could use it as a paseo. They could walk on it, exercise on it, those kind of things. And it would provide some additional buffer. Then it dawned on us as we reviewed it again with staff and thought it through that it does create an area for mischief. There's not a real good opportunity to have eyes on that 20-foot area. And it began to be a little bit awkward and didn't really work very well in our mind from a security point of view. It didn't achieve what needed to be done. So we removed that trail from, again, one of the early iterations of the plan, and in essence took that 20-foot width and put it into the lots. So the lots on the project side, here and here, that width and that distance has been included in those lots now. So there's a larger yards, there's larger setbacks. All those things will fit better, and we don't have what we think could be a problem with the trail system back there. So it evolved as a thought, and then it got changed when we considered it more from a security point of view. The other question that has come up in the course of this project has been and continues to be, as indicated by the lady who just spoke, is the Alamosa access here. So that's been a subject of some discussion from the beginning. And what we learned very quickly is that the traffic department in the city has indicated, the transportation department, that having traffic penetration points out onto McQueen, not a really good idea at this. We all know how busy McQueen is. And so we were asked to design this project without access points on McQueen. That would be complicated for traffic purposes. So what we did was we took Alamosa, which is this public street today, as the nice lady indicated, it is not a through street. It's not a true arterial, but it is a neighborhood street. And we took that, and what we've done is at this point, at this entrance, we've created a gated entrance. And the gate is only accessible by residents of the community. It's not if you're delivering packages, if you're seeing a friend, visiting, whatever it might be, you can't get through there. You would have access up on Ocotillo, where it should be. So for those reasons, we don't believe that the traffic on Alamosa is going to be unreasonable. There will be some traffic clearly going down to the school and other things on public streets. One thought we have, if it's possible, and if the traffic department would approve it, we're willing to put a no left turn sign at an appropriate location here, determined by your traffic department, that would prohibit left turns going into the subdivision. If that would be helpful, we're certainly willing to do that as a possible compromise here. But again, those are the two questions that we've heard the most about, and that's how we got to the trail and how we ended up removing it, and how we have access on Alamosa, because we do need to have two access points, one on Ocotillo, one on Alamosa. So with that, Mayor and council members, I'd be happy to answer other questions, or we have much others to say about it, but I don't want to belabor the point here this evening.
Council, additional questions? Councilmember Encinas.
Thank you, Mayor. With the removal of that buffer zone, what is the standard size of fencing that is going to be going up against those neighbors?
Excuse me, Councilmember, did you say the fence size?
Yes, the height of it.
Yeah, I'm going to turn to Francisco on that one. Is that 6 feet, Francisco? 6 feet, typical.
6 feet.
Right.
Okay. Is there any way that that can be increased if we're not going to have that buffer zone? That way there is that separation between these neighbors, or is that per our city code?
Mayor, if I may, I believe that is above our city, or 6 foot is within our city code. Building it above that creates, I know, some other issues. I'm not the best one to address that, but it would be above our city code requirements. And Kevin probably can address it better.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So our code allows up to 7 feet for a fence height of that nature. The existing homes today already have their 6-foot block wall. Our code does not allow dual walls to be constructed. So if it was kind of at the council's direction to look into dropping that 6-foot height and raising it to 7, it can't just add blocks to it. They would have to remove the wall and build a stronger wall to support the extra height. And that would take coordination with all of those homeowners along that eastern and southern kind of borders.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. I just wanted some clarification on some additional options for that for the residents.
They'd have to agree to do it. Councilmember Ellis.
Kevin, don't go too far, please. Try to get you back. You mentioned that the builder will have to remove the existing wall that the current residents have and then build another wall with the 7.
Correct.
Okay. And at this point, they will have to get, what will they require to get? I didn't hear that part.
They'd end up needing to get temporary construction easements from each homeowner to go onto their property just a little bit to create the new footing and build the new wall. We've done it in the past. Other subdivisions have had to do that when an engineering solution can't be found. So it can work.
Can I take a look again at that wall to see how many houses will be affected and how many permission that will need?
There's currently 5 homeowners that abut it on that southern leg that comes down.
There'll be
And
10?
then there's an additional, looks like 4 on the piece that would start heading east. It's about 9 to 10 homes.
Okay. Thank you.
Additional questions, or was there any suggestion or direction with those
Well,
comments?
I mean,
to
if
Mary?
it's feasible and then we are able to get those, because what I'm hearing is that you're willing to work on this with the neighbors. And the other part that really impresses me also is the fact that you did not totally take away the buffer. You added it in the other side of the fence. So those houses are a bit further away from the wall. But given the fact that our Councilmember Encinas asked about the height, and if it's something that you think that's feasible.
Councilmember Sinas, the height of the wall has really never been a discussion point in any of our meetings with the neighbors. It's an item that's been brought up here tonight, so it's a fair item to talk about.
Yeah.
So we haven't thought that through and planned on it. We've done other communities, like Mr. Mayo said, in Chandler, where getting the neighbors to agree wasn't all that easy, and to come with agreements with them, to have access, and then to share maintenance of the wall after it's done. Sometimes it's complicated. Sometimes, like Mr. Mayo said, it works simply, but not every time. And the other thing, just to know, we have been very meticulous in laying out where single-family homes can, single-story homes on our side match up with single-story on the other side. So there's really not that typical privacy issue that we're worried about, or the height of the wall won't affect that.
I see. Thank you so much for explaining that, because this is really telling me that there was some thought that went behind it when it comes to thinking about the neighbor's privacy.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Mayor.
Councilmember Orlando.
All right, so you answered my first question about the single family abutting those homes, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all the way through all 9 properties there?
Single story.
Single story.
Yes, that all sides where we adjoin existing residential units have been planned for that.
Okay. And you do have a gate there, right?
Alamosa, yes.
Right. So I'm a little confused. The resident said there wasn't a gate there. I'm just confused. Or did she mean, because she had 2 stipulations, one that we have the police support the traffic and that a gate be Alamosa and Springs. So there is one there.
Yes. Council members, there is a gate on Alamosa that again serves only the residents, not visitors. That is on the Ocotillo side. Where
Okay,
the main
the Ocotillo side, not on the Alamosa
no,
side.
Alamosa is a private gate for residents. That's it.
Okay. You have a gate on the Ocotillo side and you have a gate on the Alamosa side.
Correct.
Okay, so we have two gates.
2 gates.
Got it. Want to double check.
Oh. Mr. Mayo's reminding me that as you look at the cursor here.
We don't.
Oh, okay. There was a request to put a gate on Alamosa further east into the existing Geneva subdivision. That's an
Oh,
issue.
into their subdivision.
Now, I believe that's what was said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was to move it, install a gate further to the east on Alamos to prevent any of these future homeowners from traveling into the neighborhood.
So the Alamosa folks, again, without a visual here, guys, I'm sorry. Without they want to put a gate closer to the neighbors that are already there, is what you're saying.
Existing neighborhood, yeah.
Okay, I got you. All right.
And just
All
just for clarity, at the point that happens, then those streets become private streets if a gate is installed, and then all maintenance obligations go away from the city as a public street and onto the homeowners. They'd have to establish those rules through their HOA and things.
Okay, and that's an HOA issue, really, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know if the HOA had to vote, but we've been through this several times where HOAs came to us, say, want to put a gate up. I know the West Side Chain, we had a couple of them. And then they realized that they had to maintain those streets. One of them went through, the other one said, nah, thank you very much for the information. Okay. So that's something we couldn't stipulate that tonight because that would be an HOA issue. If the HOA said no, then we wouldn't be building that, what I'm hearing.
Councilmember Orlando, absolutely. It's an HOA issue and a city of Chandler issue to decide
Understand.
whether you want to put a gate on a public street that hasn't been gated for a long time.
Okay, and as far as the police support, I know they have been called a lot of time on traffic down their duties, and I know the police chief is here, representatives here. That is something we could continuously do to support that area, the school, and I know it's an intense area, and I get that. And the Cooper bypass, will that be done? When's the next time that's going to be done? What's the time frame again?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Orlando, we're in design on that Cooper Insight Loop currently.
Okay, would that relieve some of the traffic?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember, we hope that it will. It'll connect the traffic going northbound over to Gilbert, so it doesn't go obviously through the airport, but it should provide some connectivity that doesn't exist today.
Yeah, so there might be some relief there in that big area.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing to keep in mind too is that traffic coming through here is directed into this subdivision. This is a rezone from a commercial use that was designated 24 years ago, everybody, and didn't develop, so, and won't. And frankly, the traffic from a single family residential unit, 76 units, is significantly less than commercial uses on this corner. It seems counterintuitive to some people, but it is a significantly less number.
And I know, I know I've been watching this for about 4 or 5 years now. We had apartments that wanted to go there. They had a neighborhood meeting and that was voted down. Then we had the QT there that wanted to go standalone and the neighbors were saying no to that. Then we had a QT and then we had houses as a buffer zone to QT. You came back with 100 and something homes, or I'm sorry.
Well, we started with 90-some.
97.
We're 76 now. So
now you're 76 now.
After much working with the neighborhood.
But I know the one consistent argument that I've been hearing as the last 4 or 5 years I've been dealing with this neighborhood is that they rather have homes there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and you came through on that. So one last question, Mayor and Council. Staff, the left-hand turn only, what does our traffic folks say about that? Is that something that's going to get us in trouble here, or from a liability standpoint, or is that a logical thing to do?
Would it even be helpful?
Yeah, that's fair.
Through Mayor and Councilmember Orlando, my understanding was you wanted the left turn prohibited, or what you were proposing is the left turn coming out of here so they couldn't come into the neighborhood? Okay.
Correct.
I just wanted to make sure I was understanding. It's certainly a possibility that we could do. It would, if people wanted to go that way, I mean, it could become an enforcement issue, but the odds of people, it's a very circuitous route to get back out to Ocotillo on here, so the likelihood of people doing it is slim. I mean, if they're going somewhere like to the school or something, obviously that's different, but if they're trying to get out talking to you, I wouldn't expect that they would typically go that way. So I'm not sure how much help it would be. Again, could we do it? Is there a lot? Certainly we could post that if that's something that we wanted to do. And Kelly can correct me if I'm wrong, but from a liability perspective, I don't think there's any issues there, but I'm just not sure how useful it
Yeah,
would be.
okay. All right, thank
Unfortunately.
you.
So,
Mayor, thank you.
yeah, Dana, stay up there for a second. So again, I'm just, and put that picture up again, please. I think what,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Pugh, what you're suggesting is really that people can only go into your development there, right? So,
They could come out
Oh, go ahead.
and
no,
turn
they
right.
couldn't go in there, but they could only go out, is if you said,
Well,
is that,
Excuse me, for
No, go
one
ahead.
second. So Mayor and Council Member, the thought on this issue about the no left turn would be no, as somebody traveling south on that road, the new Spring Drive in our proposed project coming to Alamosa, that we could put signage there that prohibits a left turn into the Geneva Estates subdivision to the east, right? You could still turn right and get out on McQueen. You would have to be able to do that. Yeah.
So basically, you couldn't come southbound and then turn into
yeah,
Alamosa Estates or Geneva Estates.
Correct.
yeah. Okay, so that might at least eliminate some traffic that would go into their neighborhoods. So,
It could.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Quick poll of our two residents. Would that be helpful to you?
I appreciate that, and that would be helpful. The concern we're foreseeing in the mornings, particularly as families with children are taking their children to school. If you know where Santan Elementary and Junior High are located, just to the southeast of our subdivisions there, the problem we're envisioning is you have half of this subdivision roughly leaving at about the same time for work or for school. They're all turning right, hopefully,
Yeah.
out onto Alamosa and then turning right onto McQueen. There is not one person who will ever be able to
Mayor.
make a left turn at that time onto McQueen. It is simply impossible due to the volume of traffic.
Okay.
Our concern is that you will start to see families getting their kids to Santan.
Thank you, Jennifer. I understand. Yeah. Councilmember Poston. Or was that?
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, I was just having trouble with my mute. Are there any, I would like to find out from our traffic folks, would there be any concern that we're blocking access to all of Geneva Estates when they've been used to having that for more than a decade? That would be my only concern with that left-hand turn. I just wouldn't want to do it on the fly without any sort of input or understanding that that's something that those residents in Geneva Estates are used to having, and they might be upset that we've done that. We just might get a little blowback, and I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that, or if our traffic folks could tell us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just, excuse me, Mayor and Council, just want to make sure that I understand the question from Councilmember Poston. Are you concerned that traffic's going to back up on Alamosa Drive?
No, actually, what I'm saying is people traveling south on McQueen, I would assume, that live in Geneva Estates today are used to turning left and having access to their homes that way. But maybe it's just, I'm looking at a map, maybe it's just those homeowners that back up to the proposed development, and maybe it only affects a few homes, and those are the homeowners in our audience today. My concern would be that Geneva Estates is fairly large, and if you have the rest of the homeowners, now we're telling them no one can turn left, while they've had that access off of McQueen for many years. I just don't want any unintended consequences. I'm not completely opposed to creating a blocking this left-hand turn. I just do think that there might be consideration for homeowners that have been using that access for years. That really aren't related to the current development.
Councilmember Poston, I don't think the suggestion is to eliminate a left onto McQueen. It's more from the new neighborhood into Geneva Estates. So that, I think your concerns is no one is suggesting here.
Oh, thank you. Okay, because I'm not seeing the presentation very well. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Council, how would you like to proceed here? Further questions or? Vice
Mayor,
Mayor.
I just wanted to make sure, as long as we're addressing the traffic issue and the development is willing to put in navigate signs, I'll work with the HOA to put up signs either inside their community as well as outside their community. Say this is a private or however it needs to deter people. I think I'm okay with that as long as Ralph is able to say, hey, we can make sure that there's signs here and make sure that the HOA, they can place it somewhere. So within the development and outside of development, people will know. I think that will solve the issue.
Mr. Vice Mayor, council members, we're willing to do signage to the extent it's agreeable to your traffic department and transportation people.
Fair.
I've learned my lesson in a year or two of doing
Mayor.
this. They know what they're doing.
Mayor, then I would probably want to make a motion to add that into it. Or Matt wants to make the motion, that's fine.
So, stipulation.
The stipulation that they would add that.
Right.
Well, Matt said he wants to make the motion. Go ahead, Matt.
Let the mayor run this meeting.
I'm the vice mayor, though.
Mayor, you acknowledge.
All right. Is there a motion that
Yes,
somebody would like to make here?
No, that's good. Yeah, if you. All right.
Go ahead, Matt.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number 5805, amending section code 23 area plan and tentative adoption of the ordinance 5099 rezoning preliminary development plan and the preliminary plat PLH 24-0012 PLH 23-0056 PLT 23-002 Viviendo locating in the southeast corner of Ocotillo and McQueen. It's important we get all those in one motion, so that's why I had to read the whole thing. Adding stipulation number 11, taking into account the council members' concern, taking into account we've talked about the left-hand turn, that you will work with staff on the appropriate signage based upon our discussions tonight. And as long as, in the HOA, as long as it's a legal, non, liability on the part of us. Okay? All right.
Would like to
Second. Second.
All right, council. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Poston,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously.
All right. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is item number 20, which is a public hearing, annexation of approximately 13.57 acres of land in south of the southeast corner of Arizona Avenue and Germain Road. So I'd like to open this public hearing and have a staff presentation. Is that Darcy Omer?
Mayor, Council, if I could take a moment to introduce Darcy Omer, one of our associate planners, started with us about 2 years ago. And while she has brought cases before Council, she's dodged the bullet from having to come up here and speak. So tonight is her first time before you. So if you could, please don't take it easy on her.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you today is the annexation, Annex 2303. This would be located at south of the southeast corner of Arizona Avenue and Germain Road. The surrounding land uses, to the north we have IND2 and C2 within Maricopa County. To the south would be PAD for industrial uses. To the east would be railroad. And then to the west is Arizona Avenue, then RU43 within Maricopa County. Just some background, the site is approximately 13.57 acres. It is currently zoned Planned Industrial Zoning District, which is IND1, and Light Industrial Zoning District, IND2, within Maricopa County. And the initial city zoning will be Planned Industrial District, I1. An administrative design review has been reviewed and approved by staff for 3 industrial buildings. The general plan designates it as employment,
There are public water and sewer facilities in the vicinity of the project. The City of Chandler will provide water, wastewater, and reclaim services to the subject property, and staff has circulated the request to city departments, and no negative comments have been received. That concludes my presentation.
Council, any discussion on this public hearing?
Great job. Thank you. You did an amazing job. Appreciate it.
Good job.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Now, Darcy,
No
I'll ask you later.
discussion? Is there any
There's-
discussion from the audience on this item? Seeing none, I'd like to close this public hearing on the annexation. Item number 21, additional public hearing, resolution number 5804, approving the FY 24-25 annual assessment for the City of Chandler Downtown Chandler Enhanced Municipal Services District. So I'd like to again open this public hearing related to our Downtown Enhanced Municipal Services District. Lauren Cole, you have a presentation for us.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Tonight I'm here to present the fiscal year 24-25 EMSD Enhanced Municipal Services District Annual Assessment. The EMSD was created in 2005 and is in its 19th year. The district covers 61.4 acres and over 1 million square footage of commercial space. An Enhanced Municipal Services District is formed to provide services up and beyond typical public services elsewhere within the city. Such services include safety, beautification, marketing, promotion, and professional management and communications. These services are provided by the Downtown Chandler Community Partnership, the DCCP, through an annual contract with the city, which will come to City Council next month for possible approval. To further expand upon the EMSD, the annual assessment was authorized by the property owners in the district with 100% of the assessment proceeds being paid to the district. City Council is the governing body who officially enables the district, and district must be renewed each year. The annual steps are as followed. Step 1, set the rate by City Council. This is the same assessment formula that has been used for the past 19 years. This year, the DCCP has requested a 5% increase for both private and public property that is allowed by the EMSD bylaws. Step 2, on March 21st, Council approved the tentative assessment and set the hearing date for tonight. Since then, staff has published the notice of hearing as required by ARS for 5 consecutive days before the hearing. DCCP staff has mailed notices to all the property owners in the district of their right to file for an objection, and no objections have been received at this point. Step 3, tonight is the public hearing and the resolution of approval. And step 4 is the annual contract with DCCP to administer the EMSD, which will come forward with you guys next month on June 24th. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Council, is there any questions related to the annual assessment of the Downtown Enhanced Municipal Services District?
Nice presentation. Thank you.
Seeing none, is there any discussion from the audience? All right, I would like to close this public hearing.
We have to vote.
Related to this, item number 22, resolution number 5804, approving the 24-25 annual assessment for the City of Chandler Downtown City Enhanced Municipal Services District. So that is essence our contributing our part to this area.
Motion.
So we have a motion by Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Ellis. Questions? Seeing none, Council, please vote.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Poston?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. Item number 23, resolution number 5800, adoption of the FY 24-25 tentative budget and FY 24-25 tentative CIP. Dawn, you want to give us the highlights of this? I know we've seen this before. We've spent hours on this, but proceed.
All right. Thank you, Mayor and Council, and residents that may be in the audience or listening from home. Tonight is the tentative budget adoption of the fiscal year 24-25 proposed budget and 25 through 34 capital improvement program. You know, every year we go through this very extensive budget process, and it's a lot like going into battle. Um, we we have to prepare ourselves. You know, we have to mentally prepare. There's a lot of discussions, and you could say that, you know, going into battle, the kickoff in many ways is mayor and council leading us into that battle early on in October. And as accountants and financial professionals, I could maybe refer to you as general ledger. So with that, there is some statutory process. This adoption of the budget is driven. Okay, first of all, Matt Dunbar, his daughter is graduating tonight, and he said I had to tell a joke. So there you go. So moving on, the statutory budget process, we're to that point. And as you said, Mayor, there's been a lot happening leading up to this. So tonight is required by the Arizona Revised Statute to adopt the tentative budget. It sets forth all of the different numbers that meet mayor and council's expense for the fiscal year. So what is required then is we enter into the minutes, we prepare forms for the Auditor General that are attached to the resolution. We publish it on the website for public review. And then once the budget is tentatively adopted, it cannot increase after tonight. It is set at that limit. After tentative adoption, the public hearing shall be we will hear taxpayers, and the resolution also sets that date for June 13th. And that is coming up. Directly following that public hearing, the Arizona Revised Statute require a public meeting for the final adoption of the budget. And then the final statutory action is the adoption of the final tax rate, and that would take place on June 27th. And I should move this forward. I did not have it on that slide, but that is everything I just went over. All right, so the 24-25 proposed budget is a total of $1,629,072,684. Of that total, the general fund is about $578 million. That is a 1.6% decrease overall, all funds, and the general fund is actually going down 5.4% decrease, and that is over the current year's budget. This budget would begin on July 1st. I'm happy to report that it does adhere to financial policies. It's structurally balanced, meaning ongoing and one-time revenues support one-time expenditures. We use the strategic framework to guide decisions. It provides for cost-effective quality services, maintains long-term financial sustainability through our forecasting, and also resident engagement was very important throughout this process. We held the kickoff, like I mentioned, in October. The resident budget survey went out, received that feedback. We had 3 budget work sessions with mayor and council, the all-day budget briefing, and finally tonight with the tentative adoption, our next action. So just to give a little bit of an idea of some of the things driving the budget, from a revenue standpoint, it does reflect the economic environment. And through our update of our forecast every year, we use data from the state, the league, national and local economic data, as well as our trends that have happened in our local government. All of this updates the revenue streams as well as our state shared revenue forecasts. And then I need to mention too, from a revenue standpoint, there has been significant development that has continued, and this is actually helping with the revenue coming in. But we've also seen a slight decrease due to the legislative action to remove residential rental by January 1st, 2025. From an expenditure standpoint, we are still seeing significant inflation. And because of that, labor, materials, utilities, water purchases, chemicals, all of these things, that has been included in this budget, along with the fact that our service delivery, we still maintain our existing service delivery levels, which is good news. But we've also been able to add some enhancements that are noted within council's strategic focus areas. The other goal was to convert one-time funded positions if a program was going to continue into the future, and many of those positions have now been converted to ongoing so that program can continue using an ongoing revenue source. Additionally, personnel costs are increasing, just like many private companies are seeing. So council has included in this budget the investment in our city workforce, including merit, markets, and healthcare costs. We also have capital projects that are seeing significant inflation, and all of those projects have been adjusted accordingly, along with a focus on aging infrastructure. Grants continue to be a focus in this budget, as well as the fact that we do have minimal borrowing, but when that does happen, because of our AAA bond rating, we have lower borrowing costs. There are items also that are helping us reduce future expenditures, the investment in solar energy, as well as turf to xeriscape, our plan reduction in utility costs. So a couple items to point out that are budget highlights from an operating standpoint incorporated in the proposed budget. This budget includes a reduction of the primary property tax rate. This is the 9th consecutive year that Mayor and Council has reduced that rate. There is no change to transaction privilege tax rates. Shop Chandler, but we are the lowest in Arizona, so that is important to note. Moving to the right here, no planned water, wastewater, or solid waste rate changes in the new fiscal year. Our next planned rate changes are not until January 2026. And then moving again to the right, budget maintains existing service levels. Continuing down to the bottom, adds funding for labor association commitments and general employees. It continues debt elimination, and that includes the goal of Mayor and Council to pay off the public safety personnel retirement system and maintaining that payoff. And then finally, this budget does include strong reserves in the general fund, as well as a budget stabilization reserve, depending on what happens with the economy. So this is always an important slide if you are wanting to get a little better view into where the money comes from and where the money goes. In the proposed annual budget, this represents all funds that we maintain. So general fund, of course, is the largest, but we have a lot of utility funds, capital funds, and so on. So when you look at where the money actually comes from that pays for all the operations and capital, the largest amount shown is in blue, and that is fund balance. And what that represents is if you have, good example is large capital projects. If they are in process, we sold bonds in 2023. Those will continue for 2-3 years at times, those capital projects. So those bond proceeds get put in our revenues and rebudgeted. That the capital project carries forward. So we have those funds budgeted and available to continue those capital projects. So fund balance is a really important part of our budget, the largest part. Moving to the right, the maroon color there is our local transaction privilege taxes or sales tax and license fees at $202.6 million. And then in yellow is grants. We rely on grants quite a bit within our budget, as well as utility charges that supports the water, wastewater, solid waste, and reclaimed. And then into the blue, we have other charges, use of facilities, and other types of charges that falls into that category. We have state shared revenues. The majority of those, all of our state shared revenues actually flow into our general fund at $134.1 million, as well as property tax and system development fees. System development fees 100% support capital projects tied directly to growth. And then if you flip down to where the money goes, this is where we show all the expenditures that would be available, or appropriation that would be available come July 1st of 2024 to start the new year. The largest, or the blue section, is our department operating. That includes all the departments such as police, fire, park, streets, libraries, water, wastewater, and so on. That is the expenses that pay for all the services that are provided to our residents and businesses. You move to the right, the maroon and the gray part are very, very large sections of the budget. That represents the major capital carry forward and new capital projects. And you'll notice this year our capital carry forward is very large. You've seen in our community that there are a lot of really great additional projects in process right now that are going on across the entire city. And all of those can, of course, span multiple years. So we carry forward that appropriation that allows us to continue those capital projects. New projects total $238.9 million. We have some contingencies and reserves that are there if needed, can only be used with council approval, and if not used would fall directly back into fund balance. And then finally, debt service on our bonds, as well as some replacement funds. So that's the big picture. One thing to note here is that we must balance. Revenues must equal expenses, unlike the federal government. Municipal governments, you can only spend what you have. We don't print money. So a couple things to note. Some good news here to remind residents that if you live in Chandler, your average annual residential cost compared to many of our neighboring communities is the lowest. And this is a study that's actually done by our neighboring city, Tempe, and it shows a typical family of 4. If you were to pay water, wastewater, solid waste, property tax, and then the average amount of sales tax you would contribute or you would pay on product that you would purchase for your family, we're at $1,816. The average cost across other communities is $2,363. If you were to carve out just the utility bill, water, wastewater, and solid waste, the city of Chandler is at $75, and that's for an average home that consumes about 10,000 gallons on a single family residence. Moving forward, we talked about capital, and here's some highlights in our 10-year plan. Our 10-year capital plan totals almost $2.5 billion. There's a lot of great projects coming, a big focus on aging infrastructure. And there is one thing to note here is that we had a bond election in 2021, and because, like many other of our surrounding communities are seeing, projects are costing more in this time of inflation. And we've seen inflation like we've never seen before. So our bond authorization is not lasting as long as was planned. So that will be a conversation coming up in very soon. So when we bring forward the tentative budget adoption, it only includes year 1 of the 10-year capital plan. This is the year 1 total. That kind of Sedona red circle there shows the total CIP that's included. The total capital projects of $876.5 million breaks out into our capital carry forward of $631, new funding of $239 million, and a small reserve for a developer reserve. And finally, key budget dates. There's been a lot of conversations and planning and strategizing throughout this entire budget process. You can see all the meetings that have taken place, public meetings that have taken place here, and survey when it was posted. Tonight is the first formal action on the budget that would start on July 1st. And of course, the next would be June 13th for the final and public hearing, and then adoption of tax levies before we start another year in Chandler. And finally, Mayor and Council, for your consideration, resolution number 5800 to approve the tentative budget.
Council, any questions?
Great presentation. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
We've seen this before.
Yes, you have.
Very good. All right, Council, no questions. A motion would be in order.
Mayor,
Vice Mayor.
I would like to make a motion to pass the, there we go. Let me go down here. Oops, wait a minute, I'm in the wrong, sorry. I gotta get down to the action item. I would like to make a motion for Action 23, Resolution 5800, adopting the fiscal year FY 24-2025 tentative budget and 2025 to 2034 tentative capital improvement plan, giving notice of the dates and times of the hearing, taxpayers for the final adoption of the budget, and for setting levies, tax rates. I would like motion. This
Second.
We
item.
have a motion by Vice Mayor, second by Councilmember Ellis. Council, please vote.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Poston, Councilmember Poston,
Did we lose her?
we might have lost her. So motion carries unanimously.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Council. Next, unscheduled public appearances. Do we have any unscheduled public appearances, City Clerk?
Mayor, there are no
All
cards.
right, seeing none. Current events. I'll start. Chandler Chamber Awards coming up next week. The community will be coming together for the Chandler Chamber Annual Community Awards. This event provides an opportunity to celebrate the businesses, educators, residents, and public servants that make Chandler the exceptional city that we are. I look forward to joining Council and our community and the Chamber on May 30th to celebrate our community and the 2024 awardees. Secondly, I recently had the opportunity with Councilmember Orlando to attend the DCCP annual meeting. Councilmember Encinas, I think you were there too, right? No, okay. Silly me. Anyway, it was a great opportunity to connect with our downtown businesses and provide a state of the downtown. Yeah, you should just take it whenever they have. Yeah, I was there. You and Johnny Appleseed, I like it. As you can guess, there were many exciting updates. We've welcomed 9 new businesses, have 5 new concepts in our downtown coming soon, and we are investing in the future to make sure that our downtown will continue to be a destination driver for years to come. Our downtown is truly the heart of our community. It's a place full of music, entertainment, dining, shopping, and just getting together. So we want to thank all of you who make this who have made this possible, including our staff, our partners at the DCCP, and most importantly, our downtown businesses. Thirdly, do want to congratulate our graduates. It's that season. We're so excited that Chandler will once again release and produce so many talented, intelligent young men and women that are going to continue their life goals. We hope that you all have a safe summer. Wish you luck wherever your path will lead. And finally, I do want to just make mention, Monday is Memorial Day. I encourage everyone to take a moment to honor our nation's heroes and those whose lives were lost during serving our country. Be safe this weekend, and God bless you. Councilmember Encinas.
No official announcements, just congrats to our grads, and again, as well, honoring our service members on Monday. That's it.
Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor. We had some great things happening in our city. The first one that I would like to talk about tonight is the Golden Neighbors birthday celebration. On May 15, I had the opportunity to join our neighborhood resources staff to celebrate the 3rd birthday of our Golden Neighbors program. This program is very, very dear to my heart, and it's much needed by our community. It was started to connect our seniors with services offered by the city and local partners, and to help create a sense of community for our older residents. It was wonderful to connect with our seniors at that event, and Vice Mayor, you were there too. Our neighborhood programs teams has done a wonderful job putting this together. I want to thank. Mayor was there too. Yes, thank you, Mayor, for being there. I would like to thank Ms. Spencer, Tana, Leah, and all the team of Chandler who have contributed to those last 3 years of great success with this program. Thank you so much for everything you do. The second thing that I would like to bring to you is community services autism certification. Our city has really work with Mr. Turner to really put this thing through. I'm very excited to let our community know that our Parks and Recreation Division has received a certified autism center designation. And so now our staff are now trained on autism awareness, recognition, and understanding of sensory sensitivities to make every interaction with our residents safe, positive, and we can focus on recreation and have so much fun. This is inclusive. This this is inclusivity at work, which is part of our diversity. And staff, at the direction of this council, mayor included, have been working to ensure that our services are accessible to all of our residents. Last but not least, I want to talk about an opportunity that I had to film a program that I do here in the city, and it's called Breaking Barriers. I wanted to share an impactful interview that I have taped this last week, and I want you to pay attention and get to watch it in June. It's coming to you. The opportunity that I had was to sit down with two trailblazing women in media. First was Desiree Ellen, that's her last name, and Nikki Christian. So we talked about breaking barriers in the media industry and how to handle negative feedback and how mentorship plays a role in empowering young women. Please don't forget to turn in on Chandler YouTube in June. Lastly, Mayor, I would like to take a point of privilege. I just received a text from one of my young mentees that has taken her NCLX, which is her nursing board exam, and Miss Elizabeth Hare passed it with a flying colors. So congratulations, and we all here, Mayor and Council, would like to tell you again, go with God and have an amazing nursing career. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Also this weekend is Memorial Weekend. I'll be speaking at the Sunbird
Valley of the Sun.
Valley of the Sun. Yes, Valley of the Sun. I will be speaking there this weekend on behalf of Mayor and Council. So I hope to see many of you guys there. My dad was a Vietnam vet. He passed, and I think when he passed away, I think the president at the time, William Clinton, sent us something in the mail and gave us a flag and things like that. And that was really, really nice. That was really, really nice. But just remember, Memorial Day is about honoring people we've lost, veterans that we lost. You know, it's not us alive veterans, it's the ones that have passed away. So make sure you take time to honor a loved one or someone you know this weekend to recognize their life and sacrifices. Also, tonight, Council is finally adopting the brass knuckles and also the unruly gathering ordinance, aka the Preston Lord ordinance. These items will go into effect on June 24th. I would like to thank our community members who have been a part of this process from the beginning. In the audience, we do have the Lord family as well as the Connor family here to see this to the end. From day one, we have condemned teen violence in the city of Chandler and have maintained a zero tolerance policy. Tonight is another example of this commitment to action. By working together with police and larger Chandler community, we will continue to ensure the safety of our teens and families. Thank you again for your continuing engagement, feedback, and communications throughout this process. I'm very proud to have voted on these items, and thank you so much. Thanks, Mayor.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
All right. City Manager.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. That brings us the long-awaited gaveling out.